So 20 hours ago, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, that is responsible for a lot of business actions within the United States, they issued a ban on non-compete agreements. And I know a lot of you don't know what a non-compete agreement is because only 30% of the population are salary, less than actually, and less than 30% of the population are degreed. And the most common people to be held under these non-compete agreements are salary and degreed. There are a handful of tradesmen that come under these laws also, especially if they work in the electrical industry or the oil industry. And frankly, a lot of programmers and software techs often will fall in this because some of them don't have any formal education. They're self-taught, right? We all know there's a lot of self-taught software engineers out there. So these non-compete agreements are commonplace for companies to put on salary, especially on the 30%. That basically says you can't go work with your experience anywhere else. Basically what it says. If you're an oil refinery engineer and you've got 10 years of experience and you want to promote and your company doesn't have an opening, basically the non-compete is you can't go from ExxonMobil and work for BP. You can't take that experience because you're working for a competitor. So you're stuck working for whoever. You can't go elsewhere. Even if you promote into a management role, you can't do it. They can enforce the non-compete because you're working for a competitor and you might be using our trade secrets. They use the guise of trade secrets, but let's be blunt. The industries all across the board are very similar, right? If you work in the oil industry, refinery is not that different from one oil company to the next. Drilling oil is not that different from one company to the next. Automotive designs are not that different from one company to the next. Software engineers often get slammed with this. But we all know that the basic idea is usually the everyday software engineers shouldn't be getting nailed with this either. It's absurd. Those are the most common high-paid jobs to suffer under these non-competing agreements where they try to enforce them. Scientists are often put under that. But they use it against other people too, depending on what they do for the company. And it often can be held against upper management or mid-level management people too, based under this guise of, we don't want any trade secrets getting out there. Nothing's a real secret anymore. Coca-Cola's recipe is a secret. They keep it under lock and key. Those types of things, yeah, those are trademark secrets. But nobody that gets that, they can sign a contract that says they won't expose that. Because guess what? Most of these companies also make all these salary people sign that. You can't tell somebody the recipe of Coca-Cola if you actually know the recipe of Coca-Cola. It's a suable offense. You could lose all your livelihood, let alone the fact that you might be breaking laws. But these non-compete agreements basically keep salaries at a low level because you can't go anywhere else. You're stuck. You can't take your experience with you. In Oklahoma, they got so fed up with it, with the oil industry specifically, that they passed a law against these contracts. Tough shit. They got fed up. Their only industry where they have a lot of money coming in is the oil industry. And if their people cannot work these jobs, and then if they need to go and work for a competitor, regardless of the reasoning, Oklahoma could not sustain these companies enforcing these non-compete laws. So they put a law in place that said, nope. North Dakota put one in place to entice those Cali, Silicon Valley types, because California's Silicon Valley types, those tech companies were enforcing it hardcore. So you had degreed software engineers and really educated people and some of those talented self-trained software people who couldn't get a job in the industry anywhere, globally, nowhere. No one would touch them because in the state of California, the lawsuits could also sue the company that hired them. So North Dakota got smart, and they also had the similar problem to Oklahoma, and they passed a law like that. Now, these laws have all gone through the test. California passed one because, again, Silicon Valley, they got tired of having engineers and designers and, these programmers who were homeless and having to live off of support from the state. When you talk about those homeless people there and those college educated that don't want to work, it's not that they don't want to work. That's trope to make you turn on people. What was really happening is these tech companies were making it impossible for any of these people to get employed. And now they were burdening the state because unemployment had run out. And now the only way that they could work was zip. They couldn't make any money. So they had to go to the state and beg for money. So the state got fed up and passed a law that said, those non-compete agreements, they're gone. Illegal. Oh, and these tech companies and oil companies, they already ran to the Supreme Courts at the state level and the federal level. And their banning of these non-compete agreements is legal. So those 3 states, those laws still exist. But for most salary, unless you live in one of those 3 states, you got no other stuff. That's it. That's all you got. Salary people can be worked 80, 90 hours a week. Nobody thinks anything of it. They can get phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody thinks anything of it. You can be literally abused and completely treated like garbage by everyone. Hourly, other salary, your boss. They got no protections. None. All those federal laws, with very rare exception, only apply to hourly employees. And you got to thank the unions for that, because otherwise, without the unions and their collective power, those federal laws protecting hourly people probably wouldn't exist. But so the salary now, more and more, they'll try and get hourly people to become salary people. And they'll even try and rope them into non-exempt positions, right? Where they're not getting overtime. They get overtime after 45 or 50 hours, but then it's only like at a commensurate hourly rate, not time and a half. But the FTC decided enough is enough and said, okay, let's pass this law. Let's pass this ban. It's not a law, it's a ban. They have legally the power to do that through laws that have been passed through Congress and signed by the president over the years. So they put this ban in place. And it is literally the first thing the federal government has done for salary people. Just 20 hours ago. And 2 hours ago, less than 18 hours after the announcement by the FTC, these companies and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce have run to a Dallas courtroom and filed for an injunction and filed to have the ban made illegal. Now, like I said, this has already gone to SCOTUS's for 3 states and been turned into law across the land, at least if the states want to pass a law like that, or if the federal government wants to. So that would mean the FTC, since they have legally been given the right to do this, technically legally have the right to do it. It's already technically, kind of the law of the land. SCOTUS agreed, but this SCOTUS flipped over Roe v. Wade, so I don't trust them to protect salary people from big business, multi-billionaire companies, multi-billionaire rich Ds. Hell no, I don't trust them. And let's be clear, because some of the news sources make the U.S. Chamber of Commerce sound like they're some kind of federal government branch. They're not. They use it and they pretend and they like to make it sound like that. And even some salary think that they're some kind of branch of the federal government. They are not. They are a lobby. And if you don't know what a lobby is insurance companies, all these lobbies that, can afford $10,000 dinner plates at fundraisers for elected officials, that can feed these elected officials, $1,000 plates of dinner when they go take them out for dinner to talk to them about the insurance industry, or, workers or wages or all of that stuff. Yeah, those people with that money. And don't give me happy horse shit about the onesie twosies that are like really altruistic. Warren Buffett is really altruistic. He's giving away a bulk of his wealth, like 90% of it after he dies. And giving it away now. And we all know he may not give it away at all when push comes to shove. Lip service. He sure shit hasn't given it away now. So don't whip those onesie twosies out in my face either, because 99.99% of them have no intention of helping anyone else but themselves. So U.S. Chamber of Commerce is exactly that. It's just a lobby that basically lobbies against workers' rights, people's rights, anything that interferes with big business and rich D's. And they handpicked Dallas because I think they think Texans are stupid. That's the only reason they handpicked Dallas, right? There's plenty of federal courts to run to. They handpicked Dallas because they think a Texas jury would be stupid enough to side with them. Never mind that a jury of 12 peers would be mostly those people that could be affected by this. They'll try and pick all hourly people for that jury, though, of course, because salary people know that this ban is a benefit to a salary person who wants to go find a job somewhere in the same industry they've worked their entire career in. Your experience is worthless with these non-compete agreements. So I'm talking mainly to the hourly people. And the reason I am is because you have those federal rights because of the collective of unions. Unions got federal laws passed to protect all hourly people. But they are unions. And as far as they were concerned, the salary were management. And therefore, they didn't give a shit about them. And they still don't. If we're being honest, I've only heard of one salary group ever being unionized, and that was Chrysler's engineers. They got so fed up with being mistreated by Chrysler that they unionized, and they were able to get enough of them as a collective to unionize. Because you have to have enough people to do it. And most salary in some locations, some plants, 20 people aren't going to unionize, especially when, 5 of them are HR and plant manager and whatever, come on. That's not going to be enough to get a union to take them seriously. So, salary people have no protections in this country, and this is the first. And in Texas, if you get picked for that jury and you're one of those people, let me tell you right now, assuming it gets that far, let me tell you right now, you think it won't affect you, but these big businesses and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce lobby, they're trying to break unions too. They've been doing it for decades. If they can break salary people and make sure we never have any rights, they can start breaking away at yours. The ones that the federal government already passed. Hell, they already have started doing that. Look at how many discrimination laws they've done away with successfully so far. And some of you think, well, that doesn't affect me because I'm a white man. All right, sweetheart. When they get done with everybody else, you're next because you're poor. That's why they feed you the happy horse shit they do. I'm going to make one last thing to the salaried people. A lot of us are Star Wars geeks. On May the 4th, may the Force be with you. May the 4th be with you. I would urge salaried people across the country, take a minute, man. I mean, if you work for a good company, just tell the good company, we're going to do this in solidarity for those people that we know don't work for good companies. Take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And stand in solidarity outside your building and think about how non-compete agreements, how abuse of salaried people with no overtime and no wage protections, and how you can be forced to work 60, 80-hour weeks doing 2-3 people's jobs because there's no safety level. There's no overkill for how many hours you can work. Take 5 minutes. Organize as a group. Stand outside. In the break room. Talk about the rights that salary don't have compared to hourly. And God help us if this goes to SCOTUS and SCOTUS rules against the ban. Because what that will mean in Oklahoma, California, and North Dakota is those laws are unenforceable. And what it will mean is salaried people will be more and more abused. There's no reason for it. There is no reason that these multi-million, billion-dollar companies, these billionaires, can't pay people what they're worth, and then on top of it can block them from taking their value elsewhere where somebody might pay them what they're worth. At least pay them more than what this clown's not paying them. Think about it. Peace.